From that particular story by Daniel Mwendwa there, before I introduce my guest there, who is Dr. Clive, to talk about, family planning and the options available. You mentioned, or rather I had Dan talk about offside. The offside that we mostly know, a majority of us, is offside in the football pitch or field. A bit about that, Wahome?
Actually, what Daniel Mwendwa was speaking with Mr. Kipchumba is, Mr. Kipchumba said if you go outside the ring of the doubles, which is the outer ring of any darts board, is that you don't get any score, which means that if you score from an offside position, it's not counted as a goal. So Mr. Kipchumba was referring to that as, it's like scoring from an offside in football. So ideally, you're supposed to be within the rings onwards. So, and remember, they are not arranged in a continuous numerical cycle like you'd have on a clock, where you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 20, but they spread them out so that you use a little bit of brains. And the best part is, go to the bottom half of the board. They call it industrial area in that speak. But that's it for the sport tonight. And so, Dr. Clive Ogallo, Program Manager, Service Delivery, Reproductive Health Network Kenya, is going to be with Regina Manyara coming up next on the interview about men and family planning. I'm off. See you tomorrow morning, bright and early at 10 a.m.
It is the cup with the golden ticket. Mozart Bet Cup, 2 million shillings. CAF Confederations Cup. Kuwa mshindi. Mozart Bet Cup.
From Daniel Wahome, who effectively introduced our guest tonight. That is Dr. Clive Ogallo. He's a programs manager at Service Delivery Reproductive Network Kenya. And the conversation tonight is men and family planning. They are conspicuously missing from this particular conversation, looking at the statistics. Let's start from there. Why are men not participating in family planning?
Thank you, Regina. I think it's not that they're not participating,
okay,
but I think the level of participation that is still a bit low. Of course, it can be attributed to the various reasons, but in terms of male involvement, we've had significant improvement compared to the previous years. So I would say men are participating, but not fully.
Not fully.
Yes.
So let's look at the impediments, or what are these factors that are holding back men? They're getting involved, but they're not actually taking it up. What is holding them back?
One of the reasons is, you see, the options that are available for men for contraception, for now we only have 2 options. We have the vasectomy, which is a permanent method. Then we have the use of the male condoms. That is what is currently available. So in terms of participation, we'll expect them to use any of those 2 methods. But then they still can support, even if they don't use those methods, they can still support the female counterparts to use the methods that are available for them, which we mentioned last time. So there are different reasons. One of them, we have a lot of myths and misconceptions about family planning, because then someone will say that in case maybe your spouse uses this method, they will go through these and these, and there may be side effects and all that. Then the other thing is that we have a lot of culture don't use contraception. Then religious beliefs. There are religions that believe that the use of family planning, for instance, is not appropriate. And then also health-seeking behaviors. The people believe that when you use family planning method, maybe it's a gateway for maybe promiscuity or things that are related to that. So there's a lot of myths, misconceptions, and misbeliefs that probably discourage men from getting involved in the use of family planning. Yeah.
Now, since you're talking about that gender, your gender, we had asked our viewers what's their take on the use of, family planning for men. And there was a curious and peculiar way in which the men actually responded to this. And the question was, would you use, use of male condoms within the family setup with your lifelong partner? And it was no. They said they wouldn't use that. And the question is, we pursued and asked them why they wouldn't. They said, I would only use if I suspected my partner of infidelity, but they would not use it otherwise. How then are we changing, as people who are already in this particular, how are you changing that perception that the use of male condoms only, or rather is perceived to be used when there's a case of infidelity?
Yeah, and that is not entirely the case, because then there are different reasons why someone will use male condoms, even in marriage setup. One of them is as a contraceptive method. Two, it can be as a backup method. In case you've undergone vasectomy, you can use it as a backup method for a particular duration, like usually 30 days. But discordant relationships. So sometimes you use it not just for contraception use, but as a form of supporting your partner, so that you don't have to maybe experience certain things in life that you could actually avoid by using male condoms. So it's usually a perception issue and then acceptability. But once we give information, once someone gets information and digests the reason why someone would use a male condom, then it's something that they can take up, or we can take up. It's not really that you shouldn't use it in marriage. No, people have used it and people still continue to use it. And it's recommended in terms of dual protection against HIV, STDs, and then unintended pregnancies. So it's something that we should adopt and actually encourage its use.
Well, then there's need for a lot of education,
Yes,
and information around that, because that's a general field. Now let's talk about emerging trends. You've said the only options is either vasectomy, which is permanent, and the use of male condoms. Yeah. Now let's talk about vasectomy. I have heard you say that there are times that you actually, as a doctor, would recommend the use of a male condom even after vasectomy. Does this mean that vasectomy is not effective, or why would there be such a situation?
No, vasectomy, actually, it's almost 100% effective. But then immediately after vasectomy, we encourage the use of a backup method, because then when you do vasectomy, it's the vas deferens that is cut, but then the sperm will still be in the vessel. So then you use the condom as a backup, so that at least you complete the ejaculations. That usually recommend 30 ejaculations after a vasectomy. So instead of maybe abstinence, you'll use vasectomy as a way of backup, so that at least the semen that are still in the vesicles can still expel through the use of condoms. That's why it's purely encouraged, not because it doesn't work, no, but it's because we expect that at least the 30 ejaculates should be out, now be purely effective, 100% effective. But
what is the uptake of this particular procedure, and how long does it take? Is it a walk-in, walk-out kind of surgery? How long for it to...
So in terms of statistics, in 2021, we had almost around 300 men going for vasectomy in Kenya. Then in 2022, we had 500. But before that, we had almost 600 in 2018 and 700 in 2019. Then we had a bit of decline. And now, 2022 going onwards, we've had like some increase in trend. So I think more men are taking up vasectomy because of its benefits that are scientifically proven. And then in terms of the other question was about of course, the number.
Is it a walk-in?
It's actually an outpatient procedure. So usually it takes like 15 to 20 minutes. So you just go under local anesthesia, then maybe the doctor or the surgeon will play for you some music, so at least you get distracted during the procedure. And then after that, you rest a bit and you're able to walk back home. Yeah.
Wow.
With no complications if it's well done. Yeah.
Well, that is a relief. What you said that there were benefits of actually undergoing vasectomy. What are they?
One of the benefits that a man will get, or a family will get, is the peace of mind that you've had your desired family size and you do not want any more children, because you feel that what you have is enough. And of course, we know the current times, the cost of living. So then you have a peace of mind that you intercourse without worrying about unintended pregnancy. That is the utmost benefit of using vasectomy. And then also the other benefit is that you'll be able to support your partner, because then most family planning methods are for the female. But then we know that they have side effects. So in case you use a vasectomy, which is permanent and no side effect, then you'll be able to support your partner so that they don't have to undergo the side effects of family planning at different times of their usage. So those are some of the benefits that you'll say when you're using vasectomy. It's outright. You do not expect like your counterpart to conceive when using vasectomy. So it's an outright benefit, and then effectiveness is almost 100%. So that means you'll not have to worry about other things when you're using vasectomy. Then also, when you use vasectomy, you don't have to go back to the doctor or to the midwife or to the clinic like for review, like when you're using injector plan or implants, because once you go and it's done, you don't have to go for any review. So it actually saves time. saves energy and also saves resources when you're using vasectomy.
How accessible is this particular procedure and affordability of it too?
Yeah, in terms of affordability, actually it's not so expensive because then it depends on also where you get it. So then you have a specialist procedure where you go to a gynecologist, they will do it for you, maybe around, depending on the organization, it can be around 10,000 or less. But then we also have organizations that support the use of vasectomy. So in that case, you can just walk in. Sometimes you don't even have to pay any amount. We have several organizations that support the use of family planning. So you'll have an appointment, book, they explain the procedure, then you get consent and it's done. So in terms of cost, it's not expensive. It's not an expensive procedure.
Now, still beyond cost, because we see in government hospitals, we are seeing programs where women get support to actually take up contraceptives, paid or rather even under the NHIF. Is vasectomy the procedure payable under NHIF?
One of the challenges that we've had over time is in terms of course, we are aiming at universal health coverage. But one of the challenges we've had is about contraception generally, in terms of NHIF, but even private insurance. I think they've been laxity in approving the payment for family planning, which is something that as RHN and other organizations we are trying to push with the government and with private insurance. At least it's something that can be covered under private insurance. But currently it's not yet paid. But then there are donors that support in case you want to undergo vasectomy. They support in terms of equipment, they support in terms of medical supplies, and even in personnel. So that's why the costs are low for NGOs that deal in family planning. But then in private setup, in case maybe you walk into a hospital, the costs are a bit high. So it really depends on where you get. But in terms of availability, it's readily available. It can be done by a doctor, a gynecologist, or a surgeon. Those are people who can easily do vasectomy and you'll not get any complications. Yeah.
Are there preconditions viable for vasectomy and work against another preconditions that, block you out?
Not necessarily, but you see, one thing is it's surgery. So maybe we are going to use a local anesthesia. So you need to be fit for a procedure, because before you get any surgical procedure, the doctor has to check your vitals, check your blood pressures, check that you are in a fit medical condition, do blood workup, and see that you're able to undergo this and accept without any complications. And then the consent is also usually very important. Yeah, so it's something that you can walk in, but then we need to do few screenings, at least we are sure that you're fit for the procedure.
I know you mentioned and said that this is a procedure that a man can undertake after they have had a conversation within their family setup, that this is a family size that we want. There's always this question, you've said it's permanent, but I think our viewers need to hear it again, that this is a permanent procedure. You cannot reverse it.
Yeah. The vasectomy is a permanent method. So that means you need to have the conversation and make a decision that now we want to have 3 children. And then so we've achieved or attained the desired family size, so that you don't come back saying that I would like to probably reverse it, because then it might not be possible. Yeah, so, but then of course sometimes with technology there are different methods, but usually the one that we do currently, it may not be reversed. So you really need to have the discussion and think through it, and even when you go to the doctor, the sessions of counseling, they have to tell you that this one is not reversible, and you need to be sure that you've attained the desired family size before you go for vasectomy. Yeah.
Well, we'll be back to have this conversation and find out what various organizations are doing to ensure that men get involved in as far as matters of family planning are concerned, right after this break.